Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G here. Let's talk about how racism actually shows up in interracial relationships. Guys, subscribe to my channel and let's have a little chat.
I'm not the whiskey you want.
Do we have to fight so much? If we have a problem, why can't we just talk it through like Tom and Helen? They don't fight.
They don't fight because they're scared to fight.
What's that supposed to mean?
You know damn well what it means. If you two ever really started going at one another, inside of 5 minutes, he'd be calling you.
Don't say nigga.
I don't know how many women I have encountered, Black women, who have had this idea, this fear, or this concern that they would be called the N-word in a heated situation in an interracial relationship. And I'm going to tell you right now, not that that can never happen, but a lot of stuff is going to happen before you get called a racial slur by your partner. And they don't have to be, obviously, they don't have to be white to call you a racial slur. It can happen from any other ethnicity because anti-Blackness is not just for white people. A lot of times when women, if you look back over a relationship, and I'm specifically talking about women, the thing of it is, if you ever get to a point in your relationship where someone insults you in a racialized way, it is because you have already ignored a ton of microaggressions and a ton of anti-Blackness before that happens. A lot of times when people are in interracial relationships, they have not checked their own anti-Blackness when they got in that relationship, and they will have that idea that they are the exception. So it doesn't even have to be against other Black people, but if your partner makes racialized comments about other ethnicities of people, it's already a red flag. Like, you can't be you can't make, racialized comments towards Asian or Latino people and then think that they're going to exclude anybody else of color, because it just doesn't work that way. I feel like the path to being called the N-word is actually pretty long. If you have allowed yourself to ignore racialized comments, behaviors from your partner, it's basically because you also have some internalized anti-Blackness that you need to check. So you've been ignoring microaggressions from your partner and likely also from his family. One of the things that I would say stood out to me when I met my partner's family is how they wanted to take care of me. And it doesn't mean we see eye to eye on everything, but ultimately I know that this is a safe space for me to express myself and to be heard, even if they don't always agree with my perspective of things. And that's one of the things that you need to look for is are they and their family, if you're involved with their family, but you're not married to them. It just depends. A lot of times partners will ask you to ignore the racialized behavior of their families, and that is actually dealing with microaggressions in your own relationship. If they are making, even if they're we know the compliments they give that are also microaggressions. Oh my God, you're just so different, or you know what, I've never met a Black person like you, and things like that. Those are all microaggressions, and it's all like racism that you are dealing with or potentially ignoring in your interracial relationship that you should not. Because once you have children and those internalized things start to come more and more in teaching your children who they are, it's going to cause more issues for you, your children, their identity. And when we start talking about children with identity crisis, when they are when they're biracial and you're in an interracial relationship, this is like that baseline of how it starts to happen. I have definitely had to correct things or ideologies that, that my white family members have had about children of color, things that they have ideas, and it's mostly around like those immigrant ideas, because I'm an immigrant, of like, oh, if they prove themselves and work hard, like, they don't have to prove themselves to anyone, and this is a concept that a lot of people internalize, especially even immigrants have internalized this. I find this something that a lot of immigrants who are in particularly like white countries adopt this idea, like all I have to do is work hard and prove myself and everyone will accept me. That we all know that's bullshit. And I think that those are the kind of conversations that you end up having. If they're not listening, if they're not taking your advice, then you're dealing with something that is not going to be healthy for you or your children. So all of these things that you end up seeing, microaggressions, racialized behavior, are down on the path to someone calling you out of your name in a racialized slur. When you allow this, they think you know your place. And it's beneath them. So, and we know that, and it can be harder for women to recognize these things in a patriarchy, because when women are in a patriarchy, all women, there's a certain level of idea of servitude, of subjugation for women. And a lot of women who have not unpacked like their internalized patriarchy ends up dealing with this and confused, like, is this that or is it this? It's more likely to be both, because these internalized issues are something that affects everyone's relationship at some point in time. And it really, patriarchy actually takes precedent in most instances in our minds before we go to the other side. So we have to think about like the balance of that. And if you have a partner who's really ready to unpack patriarchy, whiteness, and all of those things in your relationship. And for those people who are saying like they've never experienced any sort of like racialized issue in an interracial relationship, are probably lying. So guys, I hope this little tidbit helps. Subscribe to my channel. I look forward to talking to you guys in the comments, and ciao for now.